It's the last day of the offsite. The meetings were productive, the energy was contagious, exactly what the team needed. The CEO pulls you aside to say, "Thank you, this was next level." And you smile because it felt that way to you too. You found the secret to delegating the logistics so you could focus on shaping your team's experience. You used offsite. They handled the venues, the negotiations, the logistics, and together you created an experience that will move your business forward. Sound too good to be true? It's actually within reach, and it can even save you money. See how at leaderassistant.com/offsite.
The Leader Assistant podcast exists to encourage and challenge assistants to become confident, game-changing leader assistants.
Welcome to the 5-Star Assistant podcast. And this is in English for my Dutch listeners. This is in English now because I have a special guest, very special from the US, and it's Jeremy Burrows. Jeremy, welcome on the show.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, so am I, because when I started the podcast, the 5-Star Assistant podcast, I was looking for examples and I saw the Leader Assistant podcast showing up as the only one at that time. That was 2019. So to me, you're a great example of using your voice for assistance. So thank you so much for inspiring me to do the same thing here in Holland and Belgium.
Yeah, you're welcome, and I'm glad to be speaking with another podcast host for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So let me introduce you a little bit, and then of course you can introduce yourself furthermore. You are an executive assistant, like senior executive assistant. So for a long time now, you also wrote a book, not only the podcast, but you also wrote the book, The Leader Assistant, The Leader Assistant, where you use also the 4 pillars as an important piece of, I would say, like, to become a 5-star assistant. Maybe that's a bit familiar. And you've done, I think, 360 episodes. So that's quite impressive.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a lot. It's been a lot, but it's been fun. Yeah, I'm currently senior executive assistant to the CEO of a software company based out of St. Louis, Missouri. We have over 400 employees all over the world. Okay. The company's called Capacity. We're in the AI-powered support automation software platform industry. And so I was hire number 1. We started in January 2017, and been there ever since. And it's been a fun ride. And I love being an assistant. And I think this is my 20th year as an executive assistant.
Cool. So, I always ask my guests at first what their guilty pleasure is. So can you reveal what it is to you?
I'd probably say there's a couple treats that I really like to eat that are super unhealthy and probably full of chemicals. I don't know if they probably don't even have these in your country, but they're called, I think they're from Hostess, and they're called Zingers. They're like chocolate. They're almost like chocolate Twinkies with chocolate icing and white cream filling. Mm. But that's kind of one of those things where it's very unhealthy, but every once in a while I'll swing by the gas station and pick up a pack because I really like them.
Yeah, and it gives you a little joy at the moment too. Makes you
and then maybe a little bit of regret afterwards. But
that's why it's guilty pleasure, of course. Yeah, great. And can you tell me a little bit more where you live, with whom, and?
Yeah, so I live in Kansas City, Missouri, right in the middle of the United States. I was raised here. I was actually born in Virginia, but I moved to Kansas City when I was 1. And so I've been here most of my life. I did live in St. Louis for about 16 years. Met my wife there, had our kids there. We have 2 boys. And then we moved back here during COVID in 2020. Mm-hmm. And so My let's see, my boys are 12 and 14,
Okay.
and they're in soccer, baseball. My oldest plays violin. So yeah, it's fun ages and fun time being a dad for sure.
Nice. And baseball is also one of your um, big passion, right?
Yeah, I love baseball. I played a little bit when I was a kid, and I love going to baseball games and take my son to baseball, and yeah, it's fun times for sure.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm very curious, of course, what in March 2019 you launched the Leader Assistant podcast. What made you decide to start the podcast?
Yeah, I would say I've always had kind of an audio production background and interest in it. And when I my prior role, I had done some audio editing, some podcast work. So, and then I did some music. I was into music a lot. So when I started off assistant training and coaching, speaking for executive assistants all over the world, I
Hmm.
thought, maybe someday I'll do a podcast. Well, I didn't want to start one until I was ready and had enough content that I felt like I could actually keep going. Because when I first launched, there was not very many podcasts out there for assistants, and the few that were out there were not updated or hadn't been updated in a long time. And so I figured if I could, one, I like the medium and I enjoy audio production. I enjoy doing the editing myself and
Yeah.
deciding what to cut or
You
what
like
not
the
to cut.
technical stuff.
Yeah, I like the technical stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but two, obviously, I like the medium of podcasting as far as reaching people all over the world and helping people all over the world.
Yeah.
But again, I wanted to do it really well. I didn't want to kind of go in with, one toe in. I wanted to go all in. And so
Hmm.
in 2019, I had enough blogs written. I had enough of a network. I had more experience, and I thought, let's just see if I can schedule out, 6 months or a year worth of podcast content.
Oh,
And
wow.
if I could, then I would go ahead and start the podcast. So I started mapping it out, and I was like, I think I have enough content to produce a weekly episode.
Yeah.
And so fast forward, so March 2019, and then now we're in 2026, and I've published over 360 episodes. I've only missed 2 weeks. There's two holidays in 2019, I think, that I
Really?
skipped.
But that is so good. Like it's so consistent.
Yeah, it's been a lot. It's been a lot, but I'm proud to say that I've kept it up, and I crossed over 1 million downloads in early 2025. And that was my goal when I set out, is to get to 1 million downloads. And so now my
Okay,
goal,
congratulations to that.
thank you. I guess my goal is 2 million now, but
Yeah,
um,
raise your goals.
but yeah, so that's kind of why I kicked off and have been going ever since.
Yeah. Yeah, and I read on your website and I think in your book as well that you see yourself as an introvert.
Hmm.
So that raised the question to me from okay, so what helped you to choose for visibility? Because with speaking for public, with your podcast, you are not only behind the scenes but right in front.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where I'm an introvert, but if I prepare and plan, then I can present. I speak. I do trainings. I enjoy that element and helping people in that way. I just have to prepare a lot, and so it's a lot easier. It's kind of sounds a little outside the box, but for a high introvert like me, I would rather go on stage in front of 1,000 people and present a keynote
Yeah.
than go to a party with 25 people and try to make small talk.
Yeah.
So
Because then does it have to do with your expertise that it's like you can really share like yeah, the content.
Yeah, it's partly that, and then it's just like when you're in a social setting, there's a lot of small talk, which I don't enjoy small talk. I like to skip that part and get into deep conversations about interesting topics. And I also I also just enjoy like preparing and coming up with my bullets and my slides and my stories and just kind of integrating everything together into a story arc and so yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
a little easier to do that when you have time to prepare and present to people. So
Yeah,
anyway.
exactly. A lot of preparation. So, okay, what do you believe is the one thing most people misunderstand about being an executive assistant?
Oh, that's a tough question. I would say most people, executives, professionals in the corporate world don't understand the weight that executive assistants carry when it comes to discretion and confidentiality, when it comes to seeing all sides of the 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 elephant, if you will. There's that old analogy. It's like, oh, I think this is a giraffe, or I think this is a whatever, and then you turn the light on and it's an elephant because only people can only see the one part of that they see. And I
Yeah.
think assistants can see the whole picture more often than others. And I think people don't understand that. People think that we are one trick ponies and that we do scheduling, travel and expenses and other duties as assigned, and they don't see that we are actually strategic in our perspective and strategic in our action.
Yeah, there's a lot more to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing also. Um, what do you see on the other side with assistants that they might not accelerate or might not live to their full potential? Because you
Yeah.
talk about the leader assistant, so that's not someone who is only oh, I don't know the word in English now. It's not one who only does what's being told, but she's a leader
Right.
or he's a leader. And so what do you see with assistants that they hold back or
Yeah. I think that the number one thing is that assistants lack confidence, myself included, and we don't lack, generally speaking, we don't lack the skills, right? We just lack the confidence. And so a lot of times that comes down to, simply put, we attach our worth as human beings to our work as assistants. And what I mean by that is, in my career, I was the least confident when I was attaching my worth as a human being to my work. And if I did well, then I
Yeah.
felt good. I had a high ego. I was like confident and cocky, more than confident.
Yeah.
But then if I made a mistake, or if I received criticism or even constructive feedback from my executive, I feel that disapproval and it would wreck me. It would ruin me. I would feel like a worthless person because I failed in my job.
Wow.
And so then that would destroy my confidence and it would destroy my ability to lead. And so I think the bottom line, and I talk a lot about this in the book, but also when I do my trainings, is if we can detach our worth as human beings from our work as assistants, that actually frees us to be confident and lead, because we don't care if we get the full approval of our colleagues and our executive. We just care about doing good work, and we know that it doesn't impact us, and it doesn't impact our value as people.
Yeah, you don't have to prove yourself anymore, like being
right.
Yeah. And then there's something also when I hear you tell me this, there's something like perfectionism, which I see a lot with assistants that perfectionism can really be a killer for enjoying the work and allowing yourself to grow. You need to make mistakes.
Yeah, and I would say that, and I would call that control. I would say our desire for control or micromanaging and, being perfect and controlling the environment so that we can excel in a certain way. A lot of times that's related to the root of it is control, or we feel anxious and we worry when we feel like we're losing the control that we thought we had. But then other times it's approval. So you're trying to be perfect because you want the approval of somebody. So there's a lot to dive into there that we have to do a long session for that.
Well, my trainings also are, the goal is to be more confident. And I think also I like what you say, like game changing, confident game changing assistants. Because that's also what I see. It's a lot of, it's just insecurity, actually.
Definitely.
Yeah, I have a question from she posted it on LinkedIn when she knew that you were coming to the show, from Caroline. She asked, "What is your view on mental health for assistants?"
Yeah, I mean, it comes back a little bit to the importance of, again, detaching your worth from your work. But also, I think I talk a lot about burnout, boundaries, and really being aware of the lack of boundaries with your executive and with your team. And I think that it's very important for us as assistants, because the problem is we actually care more than most people. We care about our executives. We care about their families. We care about our team members, and we want to help people. But the problem is that's obviously a strength of being an assistant. We care so much.
Yeah.
However, the problem is we can care so much that we care about other people more than we care for ourselves. And so that causes us to burn out, have mental health issues, have physical health issues, stress-induced illness, because we don't take care of ourselves, because we're like, well, we're sacrificing our time and our energy and our health for the benefit of others. And we feel noble, and we convince ourselves that it's a noble thing to do. But the reality is you can't actually help other people for very long if you don't take care of yourself.
Exactly. Yeah, I totally agree. So you say boundaries. So would you say, if people listening and they do feel like, oh yeah, I'm really loose on that one, is that the one thing for you that made a change to set healthier boundaries?
Yeah, I think it's one of the things that when I started working with my current executive, I said, listen, I'm going to be the best assistant you've ever had, and I'm going to work my tail off, but I'm also going to log off on the weekends, right? So unless it's truly urgent, which urgent is rarely urgent, right? Our executives and our colleagues just convince themselves that these things are urgent. But the reality is most things can wait till Monday. And so I just said, I'm going to work like crazy, but then I'm also going to log off and enjoy my time off. So I'm going to work hard and I'm going to work well, but I'm also going to rest well. Yeah. And so that was a big part of setting up that.
To say that in advance, like, this is the person I am. This is the way I like to work with you.
Yeah, and it's hard to say it. I said it to my prior executive. I didn't say it in advance. I said it after 6 years working with him. And it was a little bit more challenging because I basically was like, hey, we can't keep going at this pace. It's not sustainable.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit more difficult of a conversation to have.
Yeah. Yeah. But to act, in the end, you have to be clear, right? Yeah.
Yep.
So let me see. A question. Yeah, that's another one. Isabel DeWitt. She wrote the book Management Assistant Superhero of the Company. And she's like you, she loves to write and she is an assistant herself. And she would like to know what was your drive to write the book, The Leader Assistant, and what kept you going even in the moments when the writing process was challenging and heavy? I guess she can tell from her experience.
Yeah. Isabel, writing a book, as you know, is very challenging. I think the key thing for me was it was very emotionally draining. It was some days I was very excited and I thought these ideas were going to change the world, and then the next day I thought nobody's going to read this, and the people that do read it are going to hate it. So it's like this roller coaster of emotions the whole time you're writing it. And so what kept me going was like, listen, the two biggest things that kept me going were, one, I had done enough work with assistants. I had shared these ideas for many years before I, curated them into the book.
Mm.
So I had seen that these ideas had helped assistants. Maybe not every assistant, but a lot of assistants had directly told me, hey, these are helpful. This is really, and executives too. Hey, this concept is very helpful for my executive assistant and I. These have been helpful. So I had some validation, right? So that kind of helped me keep going.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you know what? This isn't, I'm not just pulling these things out of thin air and hoping they stick.
Mm.
I've been writing about the same concepts and ideas for years, and they've received good feedback.
Yeah.
But the other thing that kept me going was the idea of this similar to what I did with the podcast, the medium of a book is such a low barrier to entry to get help. So you can spend $15, $20 to buy a book or to listen to an audiobook, and you can learn a lot and it can be very helpful. And so, and anyone in the world can go on their local or their retail site and download the book or get the book shipped or print it
Or
listen to it. So it's very scalable. So I could take all these ideas and reach as many people as whoever wanted to accept the ideas. They could actually find them, and it was very low cost. So it's not that difficult of an ask to say, hey, will you buy this book? Or even some people get it in their libraries, right? They request it at their library and they don't even pay for it. They use it through the library.
Yeah.
So that kind of kept me going too. Is like, hey, you know what? This is going to help a lot of people that can't afford a coaching session or can't afford a course or can't afford to go to some event in a different city.
Yeah. Oh, so cool. Yeah. And it's really a book that it's about also mindset. But the second part is way more practical. So if you want to have some tools, or how do you communicate with your executive, or meetings or scheduling, that's all in there as well. So it has both sides of it.
Yeah, I tried to be very practical, like a guide that you can just open up to the chapter on email management. If you're trying to figure out how to manage your executive's email, you can skip to the chapter on communication if you're having a communication breakdown with your executive or your team.
Yeah.
And just wanted to make it very practical. But also, again, I'm passionate about, hey, I didn't want to just write a guide that didn't also talk about self-care and burnout and leadership.
Yeah. And the one big question we have here in this part of Europe, Holland and Belgium, is there's not many male assistants. Maybe if I'm guessing, I didn't really do research on it, but I've seen way less of them in my trainings. I would say 1 on 50 would be a male assistant. That's different in the US, isn't it?
It's not really. I think 90% plus assistants are female, and so it's definitely rare. It's definitely rare
it is.
to have a male assistant. And so I've been called, she or her, or whatever a few times on emails because they just assume that my
Yeah.
executive assistant
Yeah.
is female. But I don't mind. I tell people, I get asked this question like, what's it like being a male assistant in a female dominated industry? And I really have nothing to complain about. I'm grateful for the opportunity. I love being an assistant. I really appreciate the career opportunities that it gives you. You can take your skill set as an assistant and you can go from the nonprofit world like I did into the for-profit software AI world. And
Yeah.
it translates really well.
Yeah.
And then, I'm very privileged as a white male in America. And so being in a profession where I happen to be a minority is like really the only place that I'm a minority in my country. And so I have nothing to complain about.
Mm. No, and the funny thing is because would there be a difference in how you do the job if you're female or male? And there's a funny question from an assistant here in Belgium. She attended a workshop I gave, and she asked like, what would multitasking for a man look like? Maybe it's different from how a woman is multitasking, because they say that women can multitask better than men. How does that work out for you?
Well, I mean, I would say I'm definitely a wannabe multitasker. I know that it's a challenge, and I think the key for me is I can't really say much about the difference there, but I think the key for me when it comes to multitasking is to remember that it's not really the request or the ask to do two things at once. It's more, I need to be able to prioritize and context switch
Mm-hmm.
often. So even today, I was on a call with my executive's wife and we were talking about travel plans. So I booked a flight and then I had to context switch over to my parents who live across the street. Their sewer lateral line collapsed in their yard, and the plumbers out there digging up the whole yard. And so I had to run over there and right after that phone call, right before I hopped on the podcast here with you, Maaike,
Yes,
I had to
thank
run
you
over there
so
and
much
check in
for that.
with my dad and make sure everything was okay. And I slipped and I fell in the mud, and so it's like I wasn't doing the podcast at the same time that I was on the phone with my executive's wife at the same time that I was slipping in the mud. But I did have to context shift and
Yeah.
change where my head was and for each of those
And your
different
clothes.
and I literally had to change my clothes too. Yes.
Yes. All right. Well, let me just end by, of course, I'll ask where people can find you and connect to you, but where do you see yourself in 5 years from now?
Wow, 5 years from now, my youngest son will be, I guess, a junior in high school or something like that, and then my older son will be out of high school, and hopefully I'll have written another book. I've got a few books that I'm working on and I want to publish. And I think I'm hopeful that I'll have the opportunity and be blessed to have the opportunity to continue to speak with assistants and train assistants and coach assistants and really just do what I love, which is helping other people. But specifically, I really am passionate about helping assistants. So hopefully in 5 years, I'll still be doing that and enjoying my boys as they're
Growing older.
post high school stage.
Yeah, that will be a whole new era. Thank you. So thank you so much for your time, Jeremy. I know you're very busy, but it was very nice to meet you in person. Where can people connect with you if they want to know more?
Yeah, thanks, Maaike. Appreciate it. Appreciate all you're doing for the community on your side of the world for sure. And I'm happy that you asked me to be here. And thanks for your patience as I was cleaning the mud off of my my hands. But yeah, leaderassistant.com is the best place to reach out. LinkedIn is great too, but leaderassistant.com. That's where my info on my book, my podcast, my Leader Assistant Academy online program, and then lots of other resources. So would love to hear from your listeners. And if anybody's listening that wants to just reach out and say hi, again, leaderassistant.com or ping me on LinkedIn. I'd love to connect.
Yes, great. They probably will. And it's also good to mention that your book, The Leader Assistant, can be bought here on bol.com. That's our version of Amazon.
Yeah.
So you can just buy it online. All right. Thank you, Jeremy, for your time.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah. All right. Well, take care.
Yes, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Please review on Apple Podcasts. Go Burrows.com.
The Leader Assistant Academy is an AI-powered, on-demand professional development resource. It's for growth-minded executive assistants and administrative professionals just like you. When you enroll in the Academy, you get access to the Leader Assistant course plus streaming access to the audiobook. The course includes video lessons for each chapter of the Leader Assistant book, as well as the entirety of the Leader Assistant workbook study and discussion guide. Additionally, you get access to my exclusive Academy newsletter where I share thoughts on the state of the administrative profession, behind the scenes of my business, and sneak peeks at upcoming projects. Your enrollment also includes a one-on-one 25-minute coaching session with yours truly. But my favorite part of the Academy is the AI agent, which I've named ACE. ACE is the only AI agent on Earth trained on the Leader Assistant book, workbook, course, and Academy newsletter. So if you need guidance at 2 a.m. on a Thursday because you have a big meeting coming up with your executive and you want to ask for help, you can log on to the Academy, interact with ACE, and this AI agent will help you along your journey, guiding you to specific resources that are actually helpful in that moment. To find out more and enroll in the Leader Assistant Academy, visit leaderassistant.com/academy.